Greetings, my name is Slight, and I just got done walking on the treadmill, so pardon any anything that would come out of that decision to go directly from treadmill to here. But this is an episode of the Universe Game where I, on my unmonetized channel, tell you things about my personal ideology, not because I think they're better than yours and not because I think you should follow them, but so that I can improve them with your feedback and in interest, so that in case you have never considered some of the ideas that I consider, that you can then consider them. Today we're going to be talking about, in just as a little segue or a little aside here, my goal with these videos is to make them very actionable, all right, and relatively condensed. I know I can talk a lot, so try to keep it pretty short, but let's start with an action. I'm going to suggest, I have to take one more pit stop. So I'm going to use the word you a lot in these videos, and I want you to recognize that when I say you, I don't mean you, all right? I am talking to myself, okay? What I'm sharing is the rules that I follow, all right? And I enforce them upon myself. So you, in this case, is me as the watcher, telling me as the experiencing person, the acting person, to follow these rules and to try to follow these rules as much as possible. So just keep in mind, when I say you should, I don't mean you should, I mean Slight should, because that's the way I think about these things. I think of these things as rules that I follow, and you in this instance is not a generalized you, it's me. So, and I mean, I guess it's a you, generalized you, but it is directed at me. Okay, so we're going to talk today about this action. When you are given an opportunity to make an evaluation of anything in your life, you should, meaning Slight should, all right, do his best to say I don't know as much as humanly possible, to essentially refuse to make evaluations on things which I do not need to do. Let me give you an example after I take a sip of this. Let's say I drive to work every morning the same way at the same time. I am like clockwork. Doesn't actually describe me, but let's imagine it does. One day, this cute red sports car, no. Let's say it's a blue sedan. All right, that's much more indicative of the truth. Red sports car has all this connotation. Blue sedan comes in, not driving very good, kind of cuts me off, kind of clearly isn't paying attention, and then they're kind of wiggling in the lane, right? I'm presented with an evaluation, presented with an opportunity to evaluate, okay? So what my rule would be to say, I don't know how good of a driver that person is, okay? And as an instant thought, right? I'm basically saying, hey, I'm creating a brain function, all right, that says, okay, things are happening in our brain. Oh, we're presented with a opportunity to evaluate whether something's good or bad, true or false, productive, unproductive, all right? I notice I've got that criteria set in my brain. I catch it, and I'm going to say, I don't know. Immediate reaction is, hey, there's an evaluation that I don't know the truth about, okay? Why would I? That's probably pretty unique. Although if you've had some interest in like Stoic philosophy, you might have heard stuff like this before. Not that I'm not super knowledgeable about that kind of stuff, but for me, there's a really clear and present value for doing something like this. Let's say that person swerves into my lane, blue sedan. I say, gosh, this guy is just obviously not a very good driver. All right, now I'm going to see him. Let's say I see him like once a week. All right, he's not as consistent as me, but I see him once a week on the road on the drive-in, and on that drive, from now and for probably a very long time, it's going to be really hard for me to unwind that evaluation I made of their driving. All right, as a human, all right, I have to acknowledge, I have to accept the rules of the game. Okay, the rules of the game of being human is, if you make an evaluation, it's harder to wind that back. It's just not something that's as easy as if you have not made a decision yet. Well, now we're in this wonderful place where we could go either way, right? But if we make that decision, we're not in that place, all right? So for me, seeing this person driving every day, and I say, I don't know, next week they come along, let's say they continue to drive poor. All right, 2 weeks in a row, third week, they continue to drive poor. I'm feeling pretty confident. This person's not the best driver, all right? Say the opposite happens. Say a whole 6 months goes by and only like 1 or 2 times did this person ever ping my radar, right? Okay, well, that's great. What you're seeing here might seem really obvious in ideology, but is incredibly difficult in practice, all right? What's happening here is I'm actually leveraging experience to come to an evaluation as opposed to falling prey to the human illusion that some evaluation is necessary and presently required at the point that it is available to you. Okay? Dissect that, all right? When you will likely be convinced when you are presented with a common everyday evaluation of any given thing that it is your present duty as a human to say bad or good or yes or no, and my suggestion is to not do that. The truth is that you have in so many instances in your life you are completely ignorant of the truth, all right? That is the fundamental unavoidable human ignorance that you carry around with you. We don't know how good of a driver that guy is after seeing it one time. Let's say I watch a video, Kurt Saget in a Nutshell video, great YouTube channel, about nuclear power and how we should be doing nuclear power until we can figure out how to do renewables, and that'll be better than burning coal. Okay? All right? What a unique perspective. What a refreshing amount of information. What do I say? What do I do? Let me break it down for you. There's a really important process here, and I haven't gotten as detailed as I want. The first thing I do is I'm going to watch that video, and I'm going to pay really close attention. Okay? I'm going to rewind if I don't understand something. My goal is to listen for comprehension. That was unique. Listen for comprehension, all right? That way I can fully understand it. Okay? Once the video is done, I will have if it's Kurt Saget, it's probably a compelling argument, right? What am I going to do? I'm going to say, I have no idea whether that's true or not, whether that's a good idea or bad idea, whether it's productive or unproductive, whether it's the best idea or a bad idea. What I will do is make sure I understand what was said, okay? The goal for this is to float that idea, to float that evaluation, to instead of falling victim to the normal process of being a human and making an evaluation as to whether or not I agree or disagree with that thing, I'm going to take it into my play. Now, this is something that I am going to float. I'm going to keep it in mind. It's going to exist within the backdrop of my head, all right? And let's say I never hear anything about nuclear power ever my whole life, and nuclear fusion comes in, and that's the new topic, right? So be it. So be it. That's fine. Because the important thing to realize is you're under no pressure in 95% of evaluations to make that evaluation now, and it will always be less informed than if you wait. When I come to truth, all right, the way that I try to come to something that I can believe in, that I feel solid about, is through this process of leveraging experience for a long-term understanding where an evaluation comes out of the experience that I've had in which I floated my idea across a period of time. Let's go back to the driving example and let's wrap this up. All right. In the driving example, it wouldn't work if I had made the evaluation immediately, but it also wouldn't have worked if I didn't keep it in mind, okay? All right, if every time I saw that blue sedan, I was like, whoa, that's a cool new blue sedan. I've never seen that before. I apologize for the silliness, but, if I was doing that, then I would not be able to really complete the task because it's easy, humanly easy for me to like see the blue sedan and be like, boop, oh yeah, that connects to this bad experience I had. My brain is wired for that, okay? What it's not as wired for is categorizing complex information about nuclear energy so that I can recall it later. And to do that, I really need to be paying attention. I need to actually employ some skills that I'm not going to go into in this video on how to really encode that information so that it can be retrieved at a later date so that I can float it, all right? So that when nuclear energy comes up again, all right, I'm already in the position where I don't know. Someone comes and talks to me, they say, hey, nuclear energy, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, I remember that I don't know anything about that, except I only know what that video told me. And I can say things like, I watched this video that said this, right? Not, I think. What do I think? I mean, I would be foolish to assume that I knew anything about nuclear energy. I know a 15-minute video. If we're going to talk about, a process that I developed and I've spent, 30 of my work hours on, yeah, okay, I know about that process. All right, I can tell you all about it. All right, I wrote the book on it. All right, but when it comes to nuclear energy, this massively complex thing, who am I to make a quick evaluation? Who am I to think that I know anything about it, even though I've watched some things about it, right? So try this. Try as best you can to A, recognize when you are presented with an evaluation, and two, to do your very best to always, as much as you can, say, I don't know. If you're at the counter at the ice cream shop and they say you want chocolate or vanilla, it's not the right time to use it, all right? You don't need to float that idea. You just, vanilla. Nobody wants chocolate, all right? Chocolate is the wrong answer. That being said, you get my point. Hopefully this was helpful. Please let me know if this resonated with you or if there's any nuance that I missed. And please let me know if there's stuff that you just disagree with or if you think that there's something missing from this experience. This is a test run and this will get better. Also, I'd love to hear any criticisms. What's not working? I know it takes you time to type that out, but what are you feeling? You know, I'm trying to keep these low effort, so let me know. As always, only subscribe if this is of value to you. Do not sub for me, only sub for you. And, enjoy the monetized content in which you are not being forced to watch ads, and my goal is not to make you watch ads.